Take a look at a map of Europe. See those straight roads slicing across Britain? And the ports thriving in places that make no geographic sense? Those cities sitting on dry hills with fountains still flowing? That isn't natural geography, it's Roman engineering. Fact number 30. In Spain's Rio Tinto, miners unearthed a massive wooden wheel buried in the dirt. What they uncovered wasn't just a wheel, it was a machine that turned geography into gold. Literally, it was a Roman water wheel, pulling water from deep mines and supercharging gold and silver extraction. Imagine a Roman miner knee-deep in the mud, watching this wheel turn, every rotation fueling armies and cities he'd never see. And while miners marveled at spinning wheels, engineers were facing an even bigger challenge: how to bring down entire mountains. Number 29. Romans figured out how to bring down whole mountains. Using a process called Ruina Montium, they unleashed massive water pressure to weaken, then collapse sections of a mountain. Workers faced being crushed by falling rocks or swept away by flooding as part of the job. Today, we can still see examples of this throughout Europe. Once the mountains were conquered, the question became, where could you even build a road across an empire this vast? Number 28. Unlike today's pothole-filled streets, Rome built more than 186,000 miles of Roman roads so sturdy that many of them are still around today. Made from hard volcanic rock and granite, they connected a sprawling empire. The roads moved people and products across Europe, Asia, and North Africa, and unintentionally spread non-native species, changing local ecosystems for good. Roads made travel possible, but surviving the winter was another matter entirely. Number 27. If you got through the winter without frostbite, thank the Romans. They came up with a heating system called Hypocaust heating, sending warm air through floors and walls. It kept everything from private homes to public baths warm, and without it, building big, crowded cities in colder climates would have been a lot harder. Warm floors were one thing, but how do you make sure news and orders move as fast as your armies? Number 26. Conquering land is one thing, holding it is another. To keep his regions connected and taxes flowing, Augustus created the Cursus Publicus, Rome's imperial postal system. A messenger could cover around 50 miles a day. But with a relay of horses, messages could travel almost 170 miles each day. Messages could fly across the empire, but the roads themselves had to survive centuries of use and disasters. Number 25. Known as Opus Caementicum, Roman concrete is why so many of their structures and roads are still standing. They mixed lime with volcanic ash, pozzolana, water, and other materials to make a remarkably durable building material. The lime made it self-healing. Cracks sealed themselves over decades, a feat modern engineers still marvel at. One of these systems is still quietly powering a modern city today. But first, hit that subscribe button. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was this channel. While engineers kept buildings standing, farmers were fighting a different battle, the soil itself. Number 24. The Aratrum was an iron-tipped plow that vastly improved soil cultivation. Romans used it to farm more land more efficiently and with less labor than ever before. This allowed the Roman population and the populations of every civilization who used the same technology later to thrive. Fertile fields fed people, but someone had to turn all that grain into bread for the masses. Number 23. In Barbegal, France, archaeologists discovered a Roman complex of 16 water wheels, possibly the world's first megafactory. At its peak, it ground enough flour to feed 27,000 people daily. This wasn't just a village mill, it was an industrial complex feeding an entire city. But where does the water come from to sustain these bustling cities? Number 22. Not only did the Romans revolutionize city water delivery, they did it using nothing but gravity, sloping channels that carried water across impossible terrain. Roman citizens were able to live in cities that shouldn't exist, perched on dry hills with water flowing from miles away into fountains, baths, and cisterns. The Aqua Virgo still flows today, feeding Rome and even the Trevi Fountain, a reminder of how daring engineering reshaped the map. If water could flow uphill, Romans wondered what else they could move. Maybe even whole lakes. Number 21. Romans drained lakes on a massive scale. In the 1st century AD, they lowered Fucine Lake to stop flooding and get rid of the malaria-spreading mosquitoes that lived there. They did it by building a long tunnel with a slight downward slope to drain the water. A few centuries earlier, they drained Lake Albano, all because an oracle said they'd never win in battle as long as the water stayed. Slightly less practical, but still impressive. With floods controlled, cities could grow taller, literally. Number 20. Apartments. That's right, Romans invented apartments, or insulae. The ground floor had shops, and people lived above them. But back then, higher floors weren't luxury penthouses. They were for the poorer residents, because the whole climbing stairs thing was a pain. Still, this high-density housing revolutionized urban construction, letting cities grow upward and house millions. Stacking people in buildings is one way to organize a city. Stacking knowledge, that's another. Number 19. Scrolls might have looked impressive, but they were long, unwieldy, and hard to share across the Roman Empire. So Romans came up with an early version of the Codex, stacking pages of papyrus to make a primitive notebook. Knowledge spread faster than ever, letting distant territories receive blueprints, scientific discoveries, and vital information, and changing the development of the Roman world forever. The Codex helped spread ideas, but how do you move water miles across a city without modern tools? Number 18. Almost none of Rome's engineering feats, especially aqueducts, would have been possible without the Chorobat. It was a 20-foot table with plumb lines and a water level that allowed surveyors to measure precise gradients so water flowed smoothly across miles. One wrong gradient and Rome doesn't get water. No water, no city. Surveyors ensured water flowed. Soldiers ensured cities survived. Number 17. The Gladius Sword. This short, double-edged sword lets soldiers remain in tight formations and deal deadly thrusts with precision. Romans slashed their way to battlefield supremacy with the Gladius Sword, allowing them to conquer a huge swath of Eurasia and change the course of history. While weapons may have defended the empire, sanitation defended lives. Number 16. A great development for those who don't love dying of flooding or cholera, and an innovation that keeps our city streets and grounds relatively clean to this day. Rome is surrounded by hills. The Cloaca Maxima drained the rainwater and wastewater that frequently swamped the city, making it livable. It still drains the Forum today. Drainage kept streets clean, but keeping citizens informed was a challenge of a different sort. Number 15. Before cable news came the daily acts, or the Acta Diurna. Romans published daily updates that mixed military victories, political decrees, and spin, almost like today's media. The daily acts were crucial for keeping military campaigns going with majority citizen support. If words could shape minds, materials shaped the empire itself. Number 14. Opus Signinum. Romans revolutionized waterproofing materials to make some of the most durable structures on Earth. Opus Signinum was made of cement and crushed terracotta, and it kept aqueducts operating by making sure water didn't leak all over the place. This helped lead to the invention of plumbing. Concrete held water in place, but the land had to yield crops to feed the people. Number 13. Romans attached tools called coulters to their plows, revolutionizing agriculture in northern Europe. When the empire expanded north, they realized Mediterranean plows couldn't handle the heavy, sticky soils of the region. The coulter, a vertical blade mounted in front of the plow, cut deep into turf, roots, and thick soil. Farmers in Gaul could marvel as the coulter sliced through roots and tough soil, turning impossible fields into fertile ground. But when you have an empire, you have enemies. Number 12. The Corvus, a boarding bridge with a spike, helped Rome turn the tides against Carthage. Rome hadn't mastered naval warfare yet, while Carthage ruled the seas. Roman sailors leapt onto enemy decks using the Corvus, turning sea battles into hand-to-hand fights. Up close, Rome had the advantage. They won the Punic Wars and changed history. So how do you navigate an empire so vast? Number 11. There's little point in a huge road network if you don't know how far every place is from another. That's why milestones lined the roads from Rome and the Millennium Arium, the Golden Milestone, so travelers always knew how far they were from the city. This made it possible to map the entire Roman road network with precision. Knowing the way is one thing, but sometimes you have to build your own harbor to make the journey possible. Number 10. Instead of relying mostly on natural harbors, Rome went ahead and constructed artificial, deep-water ports wherever they felt like it. This changed where trade and shipping could happen. In addition to the Imperial port of Portus, ports like Corinth's Lycaon sprang up along exposed coastlines, thanks to Rome's engineering and dredging know-how. Ports altered coastlines. Cofferdams shaped rivers. Number 9. How did Romans build massive bridges in flowing rivers? It's not like they had scuba divers. They used cofferdams, watertight enclosures in riverbeds that could be pumped dry. A single construction team could temporarily hold back a river, something most people couldn't imagine at the time. Even today, modern versions of cofferdams are used to construct bridges all over the world. Water could be controlled, but the sun was another resource waiting to be harnessed. Number 8. Turns out the Romans were all about green energy. They used passive solar architecture featuring huge glass windows to heat public buildings and bathhouses. They also concentrated solar power to light torches. It became so important that by the 6th century AD, Roman legislators guaranteed sun rights for their citizens. Moving right along, ever seen a viaduct and think, how? Number 7. Romans were the first to understand how useful arches could be in engineering. By distributing weight down and out, arches let them, and every civilization after, build massive structures like the Colosseum. A single keystone could hold up a bridge or aqueduct, allowing Romans to build larger, taller, and stronger than ever before. Structures rise, but without maps, you might never find them. Number 6. Rome developed the world's first travel guides called Itineraria, making Romans the first tourists in the world. These guides mapped routes, stops, distances, and other essentials for travelers and traders. The most famous is the Tabula Peutingeriana, which survives thanks to a 13th century copy, even though the original is lost. Cartography wasn't just practical, it reshaped how Romans imagined the world. Charts let people navigate the land, and Romans also learned how to farm the sea. Number 5. Aquaculture let Romans keep seawater fish and oysters in shallow lagoons so they could harvest them whenever they wanted. Wealthier homes even had vivaria, basically the ancient version of a restaurant lobster tank. A wealthy Roman might pluck a fish from a private tank for dinner. The original choose-your-own-meal experience. Today, aquaculture is the fastest-growing food sector and is practiced almost everywhere. Seafood is one thing. Rome still needed forests, though, for fuel ships and buildings. Number 4. Deforestation. Rome's inventions and projects required a massive amount of timber for fuel, construction, and new farmland. Entire forests across Europe were cut down to meet the need. Imagine entire landscapes stripped of trees while Rome's ships, homes, and fortifications rose from the wood. Today, much of the former Roman Empire has very few virgin forests left, and much of that loss traces back to Roman activity. And all those trees had to go somewhere. Number 3, Romans turned shipbuilding into a massive industry, as the ruins at Portus show. Shipwrights studied enemy vessels, then built stronger, faster ships that dominated the Mediterranean. This created the Mare Nostrum, our sea, turning the Mediterranean into a united trading bloc, rather than a barrier. Ships sailed, battles raged, and the medics were the quiet difference between victory and defeat. Number 2. Ancient Rome was the first civilization to embed a team of field doctors and medics in its armies, changing the dynamics of global warfare. Historians credit army medics with fewer battlefield losses for Rome, healthier soldiers, and most importantly, improved morale. It allowed Rome to conduct long-term, large-scale campaigns to conquer the known world. And an empire needed to run on rules, and sometimes they weren't very fair. Finally, number 1. 2,000 years later, Europe's roads and cities still follow Roman lines. Not only that, but the Roman Republic inspired modern democracies and invented the loopholes that let empires get away with mass slavery for centuries. Direct democracy was too messy for a sprawling empire, so citizens elected representatives to make the tough decisions. You can thank Rome for giving over 150 countries the blueprint for democratic government. One thing is clear: Rome didn't just conquer territory. It rerouted rivers, leveled mountains, built cities where none should exist. The empire may have collapsed today, but the geography it engineered never did. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. It really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MatPack.